Welcome back to another Pep Talk, everyone. My name is Stefanos, and I am a PhD candidate in chemical engineering at Western University, and my mission is to educate, motivate, and inspire for a better tomorrow. Today, we're going to be covering the topic of personal identity and how it shapes our journey throughout our lives. I feel like now more than ever, everywhere we look, people are suffering from an identity crisis, not knowing who they are. And this has only been exacerbated by the influence of social media dictating who we should be, what we should be achieving, and more importantly, by when. And all of this has culminated with our generation, and I believe even more so for those younger than us, not knowing what our purpose is in life and who we even are again. So come with me on this journey of self-exploration to see how we can shape and reinforce our identity, determine our goals, and how we can cope through even the most uncertain situations in life. I really hope that by the end of this episode, I can convey a number of tools that we can use to transform ourselves and really dictate who we are to oneself. The sources for this episode are the following: an episode of the Huberman Lab podcast featuring the brilliant Dr. Maya Shankar, James Clear's book Atomic Habits, and a variety of other talks featuring speakers such as Jordan Peterson, Ed Mylett, and Tony Robinson. So let's get started. We have to begin this conversation by understanding our childhood and our adolescence. Our initial identity typically sprouts from our family and our upbringing, just like our opinions, beliefs, and traditions can be passed down generationally or just through the environment that we were brought up in. Now, this makes it the first stage of our lives that we need to retroactively explore to understand how to develop a strong identity. Now, all of this changes once we hit adolescence. Our predisposed identity is thrown out the window. And speaking from experience, and just from observing those around me, teenagers are always the first to experience this rattling of identity. It's where we first start asking, who are we? Who am I? Why am I here? What is my purpose? And this is a very real struggle because we have, for the first time, broken out of the structures that have been placed around us. And it's this very desire for independence and a grasp on who we are at our cores, which can oftentimes explain why teenagers try on different roles to try and find themselves. And sometimes these roles play to their favor and their benefit, and other times it's to their detriment. The thing is, when these roles become embedded in their lives, this is where problems can start to form. It can cause them to take on a certain facade or a persona to fit with that role, even if they no longer feel it's what they want to do. And as we all know, facades are incredibly toxic and can cause true and deep harm to our very being because they call into question who we are. Looking at a facade or a persona in a relationship where we try and shape ourselves into the person our partner wants to see, we can very quickly see where the damage can be caused. It can lead us to feel untrue with ourselves even, and in a constant state of unease or self-doubt because of this internal turmoil. And I don't want to say that I'm not guilty of putting on these masks. When I was younger, I was very guilty and very bad with it. I would wear masks dependent on the people around me because I wanted to feel accepted by everybody. I was terrified, literally terrified of not being liked, and would even go against my own values if it meant that those around me would start to accept me more. And now this stems from a feeling, this underlying self-conscious monologue, which wants to save us initially from embarrassment, but it does so much more harm than it does good. It never allows us to actually develop a true, meaningful relationship. Because let's think about it. Even if the person that you're trying to appeal to does fall for the persona, then we know at our core that they never actually loved us for who we are. And this can breed resentment towards that person or a group of people if it's in that setting. And how, when I took the mask off for the first time, I never felt as though my relationships were deeper. I feel like it's even changed the way that I can approach and behave with strangers, because now I no longer feel like I have to mold who I am and who my personality to those around me. It means that I feel like I can actually be my true self, and authenticity is what breeds good relationships. We also need to consider the consequences of people living out and acting out these perceived roles. Oftentimes, people find themselves funneled into living a life that they're told that they should, without any true thought of their desires or of connection with others and a mission that actually fulfills their soul. And we have to remember, and this is something I believe very deeply, that it's only on our path of struggle or the pursuit of our goal that we derive true meaning that can replenish our soul. I will bet anyone money that the times in your life that you're the most busiest, the most out of control, working on 10 things at once, those are the moments that you're happiest in life, because it's bringing out your usefulness, your meaning. Too many people, I believe, feel like true happiness comes from doing nothing, sipping margaritas on the beach, all the moments in the world. But that's the most superficial form of life. And I'm not saying not to enjoy your vacations or time for exploration and peace, but if that's the extent of your life and your goals, then it's going to lead to feelings of worthlessness, despair, and depression. And that's exactly when life can take control and it can feel like momentum is pushing you forward without anything that you can do against it. I have seen far too many videos of people expressing, everyone told me my life's choices were just that, my choices. But it feels like years go by and I've been dragged into jobs that I don't want, relationships that don't fulfill me, and situations that I don't want to be in. They feel like life is on autopilot and they've been told just to suck it up because life is just that way sometimes. But we cannot find true value dreading life throughout the week, living for the weekend, which we can't even enjoy because we're exhausted from partying or otherwise trying to numb those feelings. It is impossible to grow. We need expansion of our being, expansion of our mind. That is where true enjoyment and fulfillment comes from. But the good thing is we can use these negative emotions as a call to action. They're your metaphorical check engine light telling you to pull over, inspect what's wrong, seek help to fix it. So we need to perceive these negative emotions positively. And this is the first thing that we can do to truly start self-correcting. We have to dive in the deep end with ourselves and identify exactly what it is that we want to change. I guarantee you that if you were to sit down and meditate on an issue that is challenging you right now, you would come with an answer. Perhaps it isn't the answer that you want to hear, but it's one that you would need, one that you might have been putting off. And we can even build on this further. Ask yourself, if I could be exactly the person that I want to be right now, what would that look like? I firmly believe that instead of finding this unattainable dream, it will actually become more of a digestible set of steps that you can follow. In my case, as I've mentioned before, I constantly stress about the fact that I'm not a good enough engineer. And this stress really brings into view like a lot of self-turmoil because it's how I view myself. It's my identity. So I break it down. What does it take to be a good engineer? Well, okay, I need to be well-versed in maths and calculus. I need to have a very deep understanding of physics and the principles of design. So now knowing that, I can go out and use that information to search and fill those gaps on my own time. And simply having the plan of action restores my faith in my own identity. And now we need to make sure that yes, we are making this plan, but we are also taking action on it. Otherwise, we will find again that we're in this state of limbo, this uncertainty. And this is one of the most crucial messages that I hope to convey today. Another thing is that through building a strong personal identity, we are so much more receptive to feedback, criticism, and change, which is an essential building block for a healthy and happy life. We no longer fear the uncertainty of new information, and instead welcome it for what it truly is, another chance to learn and grow. And this is applicable in relationships and in terms of everything else. You're a better employee, you're a better partner, you're a better husband, you're a better father, mother, and this is what I hope to convey. So now some of the good news is that it's important to remember that our identity is not fixed. We have every power to redefine and shape ourselves through our thoughts, actions, and habits. And another big point that I wanted to make is that identity can also be based on intention. So we can derive a huge amount of self-confidence just from our intent to do better and be better. But our habits also play a significant role in shaping our identity and our perception of ourselves. When we constantly engage in a certain behavior, we are reinforcing our beliefs about who we are and what we're capable of. Now, James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, goes into this in beautiful detail, and I cannot stop raving about it, but he discusses the concept of identity-based habit formation, where we build a bank of evidence for the person that we want to be by aligning our habits with that desired identity. So if you want to be the person that doesn't skip workouts, just do one push-up every night and tell yourself that you're going to do that. Or just write one sentence every day, and that way you are a writer. And by intentionally choosing and consistently practicing habits that align with our values and our goals, we can strengthen our sense of self and create this positive momentum that can take us towards the life that we want to live. And habits can also be a very powerful tool in breaking free from negative identities and negative patterns of behavior that no longer serve us. Now, there is one more thing I want to say to wrap it up, and that is that we have to be cognizant and able to identify self-talk that may be taking away from our motivation and our drive towards our goal, but also might be necessary, if that makes sense. So I'm going to give you an example. I've been very much feeling like I've hit a level of physical burnout lately, but I have to ask myself and stop myself truly to ask, am I actually in need of this rest day, of this break? Or am I just trying to give myself an excuse to get out of it? And this can apply in very many settings. Even for example, my writing right now. Do I actually need a break? Am I overworking myself? Or am I simply trying to get out of the thing that I need to do? So we need to ask ourselves whether we truly are deserving and in need of this time off, which could be masked as a way for us to steer away from our goals. And we have to remember that this is something that could lead to intense discomfort if you truly start feeling like you're no longer sticking to the identity that you're trying to build off of. To wrap things up, I'd like to leave everyone with the following takeaways. 1, I think it's high time everybody looks back at their past and sees what role they were filling then and why it might be influencing us still to this day. Number 2, authenticity is truly what breeds the best, deepest relationships. Nobody wants to be wearing a facade where they feel like they're not understood and loved for their true selves, and this applies to every aspect of life. You're a better partner, a better worker, a better student, a better everything. Number 3, true joy and true fulfillment comes from an expansion of one's being and one's mind. We cannot be looking for escapes all the time, and otherwise it calls into question who we really are, which leads to this turmoil. Number 4, we can craft our true self through action. Take a step back, take a seat, get a piece of paper, and truly meditate on what the kind of person that you want to be in life is. Write literally a 10-step plan of how you're going to get there and start taking action on it. No matter how small that step is, each little baby step is going to build confidence towards that goal. And 5, we can use habits as proof of that work that we're putting in. A bank of evidence that we can look back on to say, this is who I am. I am the writer that I say that I am. I am the programmer that I say that I am. I am the gym rat that I say that I am. Anything. Use habits as proof. So thank you very much, everybody. I honestly really loved putting this episode together. It's something that speaks truly deeply to my soul, and it's something that I've battled with very much over the course of my life. And I hope that this can offer a little bit of assistance and guidance for how you can come into your true self too. There's no better feeling than feeling confident in your own skin. So thank you very much. Please like and share if you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Peace.